In 1976, Circleville, Ohio, projected the image of a quiet Midwestern community. Its tree-lined streets and pumpkin shows gave it an all-American charm. But beneath those mowed lawns, deeply held grudges and resentments were about to surface. The disruption began in the mailbox of Mary Gillespie, a local school bus driver. She pulled out an anonymous Columbus postmarked letter, written in distinct, blocky handwriting. The author ordered her to end a rumored affair with the school district superintendent, Gordon Massey. The writer made it clear they were watching. The letters explicitly stated, "I know where you live. I've been observing your house and know you have children." Within weeks, Mary's husband, Ron Gillespie, started receiving his own mail, warning him that if he didn't stop his wife's affair, his life would be in danger. The harassment rapidly stripped away the town's peaceful facade. Residents realized an unseen neighbor knew their habits, their vehicles, and their schedules. The threat was anonymous, omnipresent, and highly motivated to expose every hidden secret in Circleville. By August of 1977, the tension broke. Late one night, while Mary was en route to Florida, Ron Gillespie answered a phone call. According to his family, the caller's words enraged him. Convinced he finally knew the identity of his tormentor, Ron immediately grabbed his .22 caliber revolver, got into his pickup truck, and sped off into the pitch-black night. Moments later, Ron's vehicle lost control on a rural road and slammed into a tree. He was killed on impact. When police recovered his body from the wreckage, they found his revolver trapped underneath him. The gun had been fired exactly one time. The county coroner noted that Ron's blood alcohol level was nearly twice the legal limit, prompting the local sheriff to officially rule the death a drunk driving accident. But Ron's family and friends insisted he rarely drank. They firmly believed he was firing his weapon at the letter writer and that his death was murder. If the authorities thought Ron's death would close the book on the harassment, they were wrong. The anonymous campaign rapidly expanded. Hundreds of vicious letters flooded the mailboxes of local businesses, elected officials, and private citizens across the county. The harassment expanded outward from a single family to encompass the entire town. Anyone in Circleville could be the next target, and anyone could be the author. 6 years later, on a February afternoon in 1983, Mary Gillespie was driving her empty school bus down an isolated stretch of road. She pulled over after spotting an obscene, handmade sign about her teenage daughter tied to a nearby fence. Mary attempted to tear the sign down, but stopped when she noticed it was attached to a heavy industrial chalk box. Inside was a loaded .25 caliber pistol. The box was rigged with twine, so if Mary had pulled the cardboard away with enough force, the string would have engaged the trigger and fired the gun directly at her. The weapon was turned over to the Ohio Bureau of Criminal Investigation. The perpetrator had attempted to file off the gun's serial number, but forensic examiners successfully applied a chemical process to raise the metal stamps and restore the digits. The trace led directly to Ron Gillespie's brother-in-law, Paul Freshour. When confronted by investigators, Paul freely admitted the weapon was his, but maintained it had been stolen from his garage weeks earlier. At trial, Paul's estranged wife, Karen Sue, testified against him, stating she had found torn-up anonymous letters hidden in their home. The prosecution then brought in forensic analysts who matched Paul's handwriting to the threats. The jury convicted him of attempted murder, resulting in a maximum sentence of 7 to 25 years. The justice system moved decisively, prioritizing expert document analysis and circumstantial physical evidence to lock away the man they believed was the mastermind of the Circleville Letters. The town exhaled, assuming the nightmare was over. Then the mail arrived. Hundreds of new, menacing letters continued to flood Circleville, while Paul Freshour was securely locked behind bars. The prison warden insisted it was physically impossible for Paul to be the author. He was frequently kept in solitary confinement, routinely strip-searched, and strictly barred from accessing pens or paper. All incoming and outgoing mail was aggressively monitored. Beyond the strict prison security, there was a glaring geographical discrepancy. The new letters were still being postmarked from Columbus, Ohio, while Paul was serving his time in a facility hours away in Lima. Investigative journalists eventually uncovered witness testimony that had never been presented at trial. Another bus driver reported driving past the exact spot where the booby trap was found, just 20 minutes before Mary Gillespie arrived. she saw a large man with sandy hair standing by the fence, a description that matched the new boyfriend of Paul's ex-wife, Karen Zhu. The witness also noted a highly specific physical detail. The sandy-haired man was standing beside a yellow Chevrolet El Camino. Records later indicated that a relative of Karen Zhu owned that exact make and model of car. Paul Freshour had his own quiet suspicions about how his gun ended up in the trap. He privately believed his own son, Mark, had stolen the weapon. Bound by fatherly loyalty, Paul refused to share this theory with police, choosing to stay in prison rather than implicate his child. With the relentless arrival of new letters from Columbus and the emergence of credible alternate suspects at the crime scene, the official police narrative began to completely unravel. Decades later, the physical artifacts of the case remain a battlefield for experts. Modern forensic document examiner Beverly East conducted an independent analysis of the letters, isolating the writer's distinct patterns. Examining Paul's prior documents, she identified a highly unusual quirk. He constructed the letter G to look exactly like a 6. Evaluating the anonymous letters, East found that exact same, uniquely shaped G repeated throughout. For her, this specific stroke confirmed his guilt. However, this physical handwriting analysis conflicts directly with modern behavioral science. Former FBI profiler Mary Ellen O'Toole examined the exact same cache of letters to build a psychological profile of the author. O'Toole analyzed the grammar, word choices, and manipulative phrasing. She concluded the author was likely an uneducated individual and potentially female, a sharp contrast to Paul Freshour, who held a master's degree and worked as a corporate manager. This duel of experts exposes why anonymous harassment cases are notoriously difficult to solve. The hard physical analysis of a pen stroke can point to one suspect, while the psychological profile of the mind behind the words points somewhere else entirely. The timeline offers one final, undeniable data point. In 1994, Paul Freshour was granted parole and released from prison. That exact same year, the anonymous letters abruptly and permanently stopped. Paul returned to society, spending his remaining years fighting to clear his name and repair his fractured family. He maintained his absolute innocence until his death in 2012. Some investigators propose a chilling alternative to a lone mastermind. The letters became a local viral phenomenon. The initial mailings may have inspired copycats, allowing multiple anonymous townspeople to use the guise of the Circleville writer to air their own neighborhood grievances. Despite the glaring geographical discrepancies, unpursued leads, and the possibility of multiple authors, the Pickaway County Sheriff's Office officially closed the case. In the eyes of local law enforcement, Paul Freshour's guilt is a settled fact. The Circleville Letters exposed the danger of buried secrets in a tight-knit community. But the true terror is the realization that anonymity offers a perfect shield, allowing the guilty to hide in plain sight, perhaps forever.